Good morning, Zio here. And sorry about Friday. It's been hectic, and it's going to get even more hectic this week, of course, because I've got a lot going on. I got to work every day, go to a wedding, come back and work, and I'm not going to really get to sit down until I think next Monday or Tuesday. Next Tuesday, maybe. Yeah. Anyway, so today we're going to be talking about Facebook. I know that's not exactly on the nerd agenda, but it is something important that I think we should talk about. So, with all that, grab yourself some coffee, sit back, relax, and yeah, let's get into it, shall we? So, as you probably already know, Facebook went down last week, right? It went down for about 6 or so hours. I, on the other hand, had no idea that it was down. Like, no joke. I had no idea it was down until somebody messaged me and was like, Facebook's back on, and I'm like, it was off. So, yeah, so right before then, of course, there was this whistleblower, all right? The whistleblower that I'm sure you've heard about. So we're going to do the Cliff Notes version, so if you haven't taken the time to actually watch the 60-minute thing and all this other stuff and the other interviews and the testimony of Capitol Hill and all that other bullshit stuff, we'll boil it down to the things that are actually the takeaway points. So, the whistleblower. Who is the whistleblower? This is the whistleblower. I have no idea what her name is. It says it right there, and I don't really give two shits because the whistleblower is full of hot air. Anyway, like, no joke. I was expecting, to be, I don't know, told something we didn't already know from the whistleblower. We didn't get that. So the whistleblower's whole thing was apparently complaining about how Facebook doesn't essentially censor enough. That what they do censor is very little compared to, what they're trying to take care of and stuff like that. And, yeah, they're trying to make her out to be something that she's not. It's nothing that we don't already know. We know Facebook censors things. We know they ban different accounts and stuff, and we all know that most of those bannings and things usually typically lean a particular political way. Doesn't mean that they don't ban people on the other side, because they absolutely do. Twitter does the same thing. They have banned people on the opposite side of that aisle, but a good, in my opinion, 80% chunk of the stuff that is banned is usually leaning sort of right of the political spectrum, right? So if you talk about certain things, like especially on YouTube or Twitter or Facebook, in the main social media things, they'll censor you for the most part. The bigger, of course, you are, the more likely they are to throttle and censor you, if not outright ban you, when it comes to that platform, of course. And if you're small, well, you get the ban hammer, there's no hope for you at all. You just stuck in making a new account and circumventing the stuff for that, right? So there's also something else. It wasn't that big of a thing either, and I can't remember what it is now. Thought I had it highlighted, but apparently I do not. Instead, I had something else highlighted here, but this is also another thing that we already knew about, that they're talking about. And apparently you've got the political factions here agreeing or trying to unite to regulate Facebook, which, I think something needs to be done about, social media in general, especially the big ones like Alphabet and, Twitter and Facebook and such, because they do have sort of a stranglehold on the marketplace itself, and anything that crops up, i.e. say Parler, it gets snuffed out of existence insanely quickly the second it starts to pick up any traction. And then they usually cite some kind of arbitrary hate speech, this, that, and the other, which is, BS for a company that may be, in the US where we have this, thing called a constitution, where we have a First Amendment that allows us to, speak our mind without fear of retribution. Allows freedom of the press to do what the press should be doing, but doesn't, among other things. But I digress. What was his name? Can't remember. Anyway, apparently down here, which is an interesting thing that we are going to talk about here, has apparently this Hugan here has apparently Hugan's lawyers, a law firm, or something like that. Who the hell is Hugan again? Lawmakers insist Hugan's disclosure are Hugan stood against breaking up Facebook. Stood against it. Anyway, he's a dude. Who's influence, so up there. Don't really care about his name or anything, but this is a thing that we should talk about for a second. But anyway, filed 8 complaints with the Securities and Exchange Commissions focused on Facebook's public statement about issues including what Facebook knew about how organizers of the dreaded January 6th Capitol siege, if you want to call that a siege, used its platform. However, effectively it is, or how effective it is at removing hate speech, and how Instagram makes body image issues worse, right? So this entire thing is about Instagram and Facebook, hate speech, body image, and that sort of thing. That's what we're talking about right here, because they're not doing enough apparently to fix that. We already knew that the people who protested at the Capitol is probably the best way to put it, because they didn't really damage anything. I mean, they took a few things, right? Moved a few things, but they didn't set the place on fire. They didn't kill anybody, unlike, certain riots that happened all throughout the summer previously, where, what was it, over 32 people found dead after all that stuff, and several buildings burnt to the ground. And anyway, it was quite the summer of love, wasn't it? Yeah. So we already knew that they organized on Facebook, right? Because right after that, of course, that's when Parler picked up, and then suddenly everybody, Apple Play, Google, shut Parler down super hard, citing that they organized via Parler, even though Parler doesn't have any real tools for that. Facebook did, and we found out because it came out shortly after they crushed Parler with their boot that, oh yeah, these guys all gathered and got together and connected and decided they were going to go and protest via Facebook, and then nothing was said. So the fact that dude over here is going on about how what was it? Public statement issuing, including what Facebook knew about the organizers or something, as if, they didn't tell you, which we did learn. Maybe that was considered one of those, famed conspiracy theories where people don't want to know the truth, and they're just like, oh, it's a conspiracy theory kind of thing, even though Facebook is saying that it happened. And then nothing was taken. Nothing was done about it, right? But then, we had this outage, right? So now we're getting into the outage. So that happened the day first beforehand, and then we had the outage, right? Everything went down. Facebook has, of course, now given a reason for it, and it apparently was the result of configuration changes to its routers. Or to its routers. Yeah, not a hack or an attempt to get user data, which I will press X to doubt, by the way. Because a certain thing did pop up on the darker parts of the interwebs. But anyway, so we had Facebook go down, and they were talking about DSN issues. Apparently, there was an issue because you could actually go down to where Facebook just suddenly wasn't connecting to the internet, right? Nobody could connect to it. It couldn't connect to us. And you could actually buy like the Facebook domain, or it was reported that you could actually purchase the Facebook domain if you wanted to, kind of deal, which I'm sure was reversed, even though, Facebook's supposed to exist, but it doesn't, that sort of thing. Facebook, I would assume, has redundancies like any other corporation or big thing would have redundancies, right? So if this thing goes down, if this router goes down, there's still connection, this, that, and the other. It is, of course, highly possible that somebody fucked up something on the backbone area and disabled maybe a certain security protocol or whatnot that shut it down, which is exactly what they are, talking about somewhere. But where was it? I did highlight that, right? I probably didn't. My bad. Um, but yeah, apparently, oh, there it is. Once they did activate the secure access protocols, this is apparently not code for cut open the server doors with an angular grind. It's not. Why is that even necessary? Like, does somebody actually think that's what it is? To enable or disable certain security protocols, you get into the thing, you type some things, you click a button here and there because everything is GUI related these days, and boom, it's fixed. I set up security protocols for people for a living for like 6 years. It's not hard. Now, gaining access to the system may be a little bit harder than that, of course. But yeah, apparently there was an issue with security protocols, this, that, and the other, and it got disconnected from the net. But also, apparently, according to reports, the employees at Facebook couldn't actually get into the doors of the offices either for whatever reason, because those were taken down, which I'm assuming they have a badge. I can't show you one because I don't have one nearby of anything like that, but essentially they'll have a badge, right? And I'm assuming it's badged. I don't expect them to have, I mean, maybe they do. Maybe they have like double protection or anything. See, when I was when I was in the Air Force, we had a badge and a pin, right? And of course there are some places that require biometrics as well. There was 3 separate layers of really good security you could do. So in order to get into a particular secure location, you would have to hit the badge, right? It would blink, it would go green or whatnot, and then you put in a pin to follow that. So it had a keypad to it. You put in the pin, and then if it's got biometrics, you put your finger on, or it scans the palm of your hand or whatever, that sort of thing, depending on how how it's done. Usually it's a fingerprint, or the iris of your eye. I never actually seen that one anywhere, but I'm pretty sure that was a thing somewhere. Anyway, you'd put it in and it would scan it, and then boom, door unlocks. You go in, you close it, you then open the other door, and then open that and shut that. Heavy steel doors, that sort of thing. But anyway, there's a lot of security that goes into it. So if their cards, I'm assuming they just use cards to badge in and out. I mean, Facebook could absolutely input security features like that. I don't know if they do or not. I've never been to their offices where this sort of stuff is. But yeah, so I'm assuming their badges didn't work, which would mean that there was a disabling of a security protocol. Somebody went in and disabled the security protocols to the badges or whatnot, or just put out a thing. And it's not like it's this big thing that takes a lot of time to do or nothing. If you're in the system and you go in and say, the badges take this particular security protocol, right? This allows the doors to unlock when it's touched to the thing or swiped or whatnot. All you have to do is go in, click, and delete. That's like it. You just disable the one protocol that allows them to go through the doors, and this is how you can sort of set things up to go through different things. Like, you could have a badge that can get you into the front door, and then it can get you into your office, right? Or but say maybe there's a more delicate part of the area that nobody can really badge into, but there's like 3 or 4 people who have a badge who can do that, so their card has like multiple other security protocols enabled with it where they can just swipe it and get into doors that other people can't do, and that's how you get them to differentiate from one another and stuff. So it's not just a blanket system, but to get in, say, the first door into the door, it probably is a blanket protocol. It's not like, the CEO or something has a completely different protocol on their card just to get into the front door. It's the same one as Joe Blow down the street or Nancy Drew, who has access to the building. So yeah, the security protocol thing, the security thing could be an issue where they just had disabled whatever it is that allows people to connect securely to the to the Facebooks, which then of course prevents anybody from getting to it. But Facebook wasn't coming up; it was off the interwebs entirely. It seemed, which to me doesn't seem like a security thing. That really does seem like somebody took it off the list. They took it and they clogged up whatever ports were connecting to the World Wide Web, is the best way I can put it in, I guess, more simpler terms, right? Without, yeah, if you go look at this, they'll use a bunch of things like DNS, BGP, ISP, V6, V4, V5, things like that. You may not understand it, and I understand, that's how we usually talk about these things, but I try my best to get these into more simpler terms. But so let's say there's ports, right? Every router has ports in it. Yeah, that looked fantastic. Clip that. Anyway, every router has a port, and think of a port as a road, right? You've got an interstate, two-way traffic on it, or one-way traffic. This is one port, this is another port going into the city, port going out to the city, and things like that. And now say a massive landslide came and clogged it up and nobody's moving. That's what it feels like it has essentially happened to keep Facebook off the interwebs. So we'll go ahead and we'll bring this up. Apparently 1.5 billion Facebook users. What the fudge is that? That was scary. Anyway, 1.5 Facebook users' personal information allegedly posted for sale. This is the part, if you're still here 17 minutes later, I tell you to change your passwords. Because change them all, especially if you use the same password for Facebook as you use for Google, this, that, and the other, because Facebook knows things about you. It knows when you need to poop, for crying out loud, because of all the data that they collect on you. But apparently, a listing for about 1.5 billion Facebook users' information has been found for sale on the dark side of the internet. It's the side of the internet you and I can't normally go to without using something like a Tor browser or something else to get into it, that sort of thing. Where the dreaded red room that I don't think anybody's ever actually seen a real one. I'm pretty sure there's several YouTubers out there who try to find them. Sort of dive into the dark web for you, because it's a dangerous place to really be in. Who have actually looked for these dreaded red rooms that don't actually exist. And there's of course horror stories about them and all this other stuff, but I don't know about a quote of 5,000 for the information of 1 million users. To be totally honest, that seems very, very low ball. For 1.5 billion Facebook users information. But yeah, that's a thing. So apparently, according to this, the leaked information claimed that it includes the following for each account: names, emails, locations, gender, phone number, and user IDs, which is quite a bit. With that, they can easily say, gain the rest of the information they need to steal your identity or open cards or other things in your name, or sell your information to other groups and all this other stuff, and do some very, very sketchy things with your information. Now, there's a good chance this is probably true, just due to the fact that it immediately was being covered up, right? we had the Facebook outage, we had the whistleblower, Facebook goes down, everybody immediately thinks whistleblower equals Facebook going down so they can do something, right? Scrub, whatever. And then suddenly you get things, well, apparently Facebook allegedly got hacked, but it didn't really, guys. Don't pay any attention to that, because they did, right? I think it does point to Facebook got hacked because Instagram also went down, WhatsApp also went down, and then the cherry on top of everything, Twitch was hacked, and we know that got hacked because somebody didn't just try to sell that information off onto the interwebs or whatnot through the dark web. They dumped that info, and we talked about it Thursday. So now if you go and you search for this, right, the Facebook hack, which is why I also think, in my opinion, this is probably legitimately what has happened, is Facebook got hacked and they don't want anybody to know about it, is the very top search result when I got back, and I wish I had just left it up there instead of clicking on this to bring it up to remind me about that's what I want to talk about, is a story about, did this whatever year old, you know what, we'll let's see, Facebook news, where that is not how you spell it. Wow. Now where the heck did it go? You're joking. Oh, come on. Of course it's missing. Maybe it was under all. Yep, it's gone. Funny that. Anyway, I'll just tell you about it real quick. The first thing that had popped up was something about like this 11-year-old or 13-year-old Chinese kid saying, did this X-year-old kid hack Facebook? Which, of course, I'm sure if you read it, it says, no, of course not, and all this other stuff. So they're running that campaign right now. So I'm assuming this, it legitimately got hacked, and that's probably what happened. So if I were you, I would be changing your passwords and stuff, just to be on the safe side, because even if they've got your emails and stuff, at least you can probably keep yourself safe if you've changed your passwords to a point. And of course, enable things like two-factor authentication where they need to text your number and all this other stuff. But that's not going to keep you completely safe, because, there's workarounds for that too. But it's better to be as safe as you possibly can than not. Anyway, that's it. That's all I got today. So let me know what you think down in the comments below, and I will talk to you later. See ya.
Hey, thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a comment, smash that like button, and always subscribe for more. And of course, there are other videos floating around somewhere on the screen, so click one of those and see if you can find something that suits your fancy. Till then, I'll see you later. Bye.